Welcome to NPT TV. I'm Randall Mauricio.
And I'm Tamara Lansky. Some 3/4 of the money given by individuals to charity goes to religious charities. So what did they have that secular charities don't?
Yeah, we'll talk to Nora Ortiz-Frederick, Associate Director of Stewardship and Development of the Archdiocese of Anchorage, Alaska, for some ideas on how secular charities can improve the percentages. But first, your headlines.
Hung jury.
Data hack and win.
And Demi knows real men.
This webcast is brought to you by Serenic Software. Empower your mission.
Charged with not fulfilling its mission of advancing the public good, philanthropy was put on trial during the Council on Foundations annual conference in Philadelphia. Gara LaMarche, president and CEO of the Atlantic Philanthropies, served as the prosecution and argued philanthropy is a privilege, not a right. During a 10-minute opening statement, LaMarche targeted what he called the sector's excessive focus on self-interest, along with its lack of diversity and strategic focus on systemic change as opposed to charity. LaMarche says society has a right to recalibrate as needed. Ralph R. Smith, Executive Vice President of the Annie E. Casey Foundation, took on the role of defense attorney. He countered that philanthropic dollars are being invested in projects inspired by a diversity of people, both libertarians who believe in limited government, as well as those who believe it has the solutions. Despite the ideological diversity, Smith says these folks are members of the council and standard bearers of the field called philanthropy. He adds diversity is the hallmark of philanthropy and it should be protected. There were only 2 votes to acquit. See the whole argument at www.cof.org.
Nonprofit techies take note. DonorsChoose.org, an online education charity and one of Fast Company magazine's 50 most innovative companies in the world, has launched Hacking Education, a contest for developers and data crunchers. The goal? Build apps that improve education in America. Judges include Ariana Huffington, Teach for America's Wendy Koop, venture capitalist Fred Wilson, and former NYC Schools Chancellor Joel Klein. Stephen Colbert will present the winner with the grand prize. During the past 10 years, more than 165,000 teachers at 43,000 public schools have posted more than 300,000 classroom project requests. That has inspired $80 million in giving from 400,000 donors.
In the So Much for Star Power department, according to actress Demi Moore, Ashton Kutcher, Justin Timberlake, and Bradley Cooper are all real men. And not just because they're on-screen studs. You'd hope she'd think that since she's married to Kutcher. The actors have banded together for Moore and Ashton's newest awareness campaign, Real Men Don't Buy Girls. It involves celebs taking photos of themselves holding up signs that proclaim real men don't buy girls to raise awareness about child sex slavery. Now think of this for a moment. The average age of entry into forced prostitution in the U.S. is 13. 90% of youth trafficked for sexual purposes in the U.S. are citizens of their own country. Hundreds of thousands of American girls and boys are currently enslaved in the U.S. An estimated 1 million children are forced to work in the global sex industry every year. The global sex slavery market generates a $39 billion profit annually, and selling young girls is more profitable than trafficking drugs or weapons. While there are famous faces backing this important cause, DNA Foundation found earlier this week fewer than 100 friends on the campaign's Facebook page. And we'll be back in 20 seconds after this brief commercial message. Still to come, what religious charities have over secular charities. Stay with us.
Serenic Navigator is the leading financial management software solution for nonprofits and NGOs. Navigator provides increased transparency and accountability to your board, constituents, funders, and donors. Intuitive navigation dramatically increases efficiency, and real-time data access enables quick and informed decisions. Register for a webinar at serenic.com and learn how Serenic can empower your mission.
About $45.7 billion. That's how much grant-making foundations in the United States gave in 2010. This, according to Foundation Growth and Giving estimates released by the Foundation Center. The number is virtually unchanged from 2009. Survey findings suggest 2011 foundation giving will grow between 2 and 4%, which could propel it past the 2008 record level. Grant makers also appear optimistic about 2012. Assuming no unexpected economic crisis, foundation giving should see another modest year-over-year gain. More than 45% of respondents to the Foundation Center's annual survey say they reduced funding in 2010. Other key findings: independent and family foundations reduced giving by less than 1% to $32.5 billion in 2010. Corporate foundation giving remained basically unchanged at $4.7 billion in 2010, and community foundation giving dipped 2.1% to $4.1 billion in 2010, the first consecutive year decline on record.
Religious charities in the U.S. have always received the lion's share of giving by individuals, and there are ways secular charities can target those donors and methods that religious charities can use to increase their dominance. We caught up with Nora Ortiz-Frederick, Associate Director of Stewardship and Development of the Archdiocese of Anchorage, Alaska, for some ideas. Nora, of the $300 billion donated each year in the United States, as reported by Giving USA, about 3/4 is given to religious organizations and institutions. So obviously, religious donors give a lot of money. What can you tell me about donors who give to secular organizations?
Well, in general, the religious donors in America are very generous, and they're generous both to religious organizations but also to secular organizations. For every dollar that a religious donor gives to their religious organization, they give 86 cents to non-religious organizations. So if they can view that secular organization as a way for them to live out and act on their deeply held belief, they're very happy to support secular organizations as well.
How can nonprofits tap into that kind of a market of potential donors if they're a secular organization? I mean, what are some of the strategies or sweet spots, and how should they go about getting into that market?
Well, in general, it's very helpful for secular nonprofits just to remember that religious donors are another segment of the population. And what they really need to do is treat them as they would any other segment of the population, to think about the sorts of things that you would do to appeal to that part of the population, keeping in mind of how they're, particularly for Christian donors, which make up about 86% of the self-proclaimed religious inclination in the U.S., to think about how their nonprofit might be viewed as a ministry by Christians, and how they can appeal to Christians in general is important. Certainly having a relational database and identifying and making sure that within their relational database that their house of worship or their affiliation, their religious affiliation, is part of that relational database is an important way to help it also.
Of course, a big thank you goes out to Nora for the insight. And before you go, make sure you check out the full interview by clicking on the banner right below this video player.
And don't forget, the Nonprofit Risk Management Center will hold its first Nonprofit Employee Benefits Conference at the Salvation Army Conference Center in West Nyack, New York.
That's right, May 16 and 17. Just go to www.nonprofitrisk.org for more info.
And we'll see you next time.